How you going, guys? So welcome back to video 74 on the Studebaker. Phew, won't be taking long before we're at 100. It seems to rock through pretty quick. That's the nature of the beast with doing videos basically every day. So I've got a little bit of cleanup to do on the window frame that I basically repaired in 73 and sort of partially started in 72. So I got just a little bit of cleanup to do and do a lot of things. The other thing I actually might do to it, because I've welded and everything, I'm a bit worried about pulling the top piece off and it's springing. So while it's all together, I'm actually going to heat it up with the gas. I'm just going to heat it. I'm not going to get it cherry red or anything, but I'm just going to heat it and try and see if I can get it to relax. So if I do, when I pull that frame apart, take the top off it, it doesn't spring or do anything stupid, hopefully. Just to let the metal relax now that it's been welded. I'm hoping it'll be okay, but I did notice when I was putting it all back together, when I had to pull this part back here with a clamp to get this all to line up after I cut it off. So obviously at some point it's changed its tension, so I want to try and relieve that tension with some heat and just obviously give it a fairly good warm up and around those corners and let it relax. At that state, hopefully that'll be enough to just let the metal take its tension out and just let it relax so it's not under stress all the time, hopefully. So yeah, that's sort of my next plan. I'll finish cleaning up, doing a little bits of welding, and then I'll do that. So yeah, that's my next step, and then this should be done. And I'll give it a final clean up on the outside, or probably DA and all that sort of stuff, and bits and pieces, and I'll get it. I may even, yes, there is a pressure regulator on that little compressor, so I could possibly spray a little bit each around it. Lots of little pieces I need to spray stuffing on it though. I really need to I'd like to get everything sort of fairly cleaned up before I do that, but yeah, I'll get it cleaned up so at least it's fairly prepped, and then obviously it just needs, probably when we go to do a lot of etching, especially on the body and stuff like that, I can set a lot of stuff up and obviously give it a final clean back and rub back and whatever, and then etch everything. I don't think there's any point just mixing up a little bit of shit and cleaning your gun and everything all again for that. So, but yeah, we'll get this cleaned up and prepped, and then I'll heat these areas to get it to relax, and hopefully so it's not trying. I think it's trying to pull in, but I don't want to take it apart and then it's like spring and then I actually have a bitch with white. I'd rather let it relax, heat it up, and then let it cool, and hopefully it loses its memory and it re-establishes a new memory. So that's the plan. I'll get it fairly hot. I don't know if I'll get it red, but we'll get it fairly hot, if you know what I mean. So, and especially in this area, and obviously the other one that you can't quite see in view. So, but anyway, I'll get this cleaned up and we'll do that. I'll stop waffling. Right, so I'm going to do the heat cycle on it now and see how I get on. I'm hoping this will work. I'm not 100% sure, but in theory it should. So if I heat this area up, and the same with the other one, and then just let it cool naturally, hopefully it should let any sprung tension off it. In theory. That's enough. I've got it sort of blue, quite blue, without going stupid hot. Just hopefully that lets everything relax. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. So hopefully when that cools, it has lost any tension from welding. Because basically, apart from it being a mongrel, it will put extra tension on it, and it's possibly could, maybe crack it or break it. So hopefully that helps let it normalise. Anyway, I'll work out what I'm going to do next, and we'll come back to you. Right, so this is cooled off. I'm just going to try and separate this top piece, and hope like heck it doesn't pull in. Just find a bit of wood to bang on. See if it comes out all right. Too hard and damage the frame. Easy as. Sweet. Beautiful. Perfect. Exactly what I wanted it to be. So now when it, as I said before, when I had it in that jig, I had to pull this side back, and I was worried about it. If I'd pulled this out, then it would do something queer. But that worked perfectly. So that's cool. Awesome. I think I really need to do much else to it. Might give it another. I might panic and I'll just leave it till it till I go to obviously do final prep, and then I can just do any other little bits and pieces maybe. Actually, there was one little spot I thought I had to weld or break through before. Oh yeah, I'll do a little welding here, but apart from that, I won't worry about doing it on the camera, but that's pretty much good to go. Possibly, I think it's pretty good, but it may need the odd little dress up here and there, but when I do the body work on it, needs a little bit of filing there, and just little pieces like that possibly, just to get rid of any. I'll do that now, but lots of those, just any of those little pieces might need a little bit of attention. Pretty easy sorted. Just help get rid of any major unevenness. think that'll do, apart from those couple of little touch-ups. I need to readdress. They're both in the same place. Just a little bit on the edge where it's broken through. Cleaning it up in there. But it's done. Anyway, we'll call this bit done, and yeah, I'll carry on with something else very shortly after I've had a clean up. Righty guys, so I thought I'd better throw this windscreen frame in here. It's actually the first time I've actually had it screwed in. So it fits pretty good. The gaps down the side are pretty nice and all that sort of stuff. The only thing that really concerns me is this is quite a tight on this side, and that's quite open on that side. But like the thing is, I don't know, the gaps are pretty good. Like the biggest problem is if I heated that and pulled it down, it's going to widen it at the bottom. Yeah, and I think I'd actually have to heat it in that corner to pull it that way. Maybe. But like it's pretty even, and that's semi-even. That means it's going to be tighter at the bottom. I don't know, because it's quite a big gap on this side. Like I set it up in the jig how it was, and like really it hasn't moved from what it was. I should have actually fitted it first, but I didn't. I didn't think about it. I think I'd sat it in there a couple of times, but never really actually had a look to see how it actually fitted when it was actually hung, unfortunately. But so I don't know if this has changed or not. But like it shouldn't have changed because I had it in my jig, and I pulled it back to fit. You know what I mean? I figured it out this top bar when somebody obviously pulled it apart and put it back together. They put the top bar in around the wrong way because it didn't have the screw holes in the side, and I was trying to work out why. And then I realised, just turn the bar around. But yeah, it's in there. It seems to fit, you know, reasonable. It's just this piece here. Like it's not twisted or anything like that. Like it seems to fit, you know, seems to fit in that gap pretty good. Whatever that is there, it seems to be pretty even here. Like there's no issues like that. It's just, yeah, this. So whether I can heat this and try and pull it down to make it fit a little better, but again, it's actually a bigger gap here. Than there is on that side because it's quite tight. I can't barely get my finger in there. So yeah, whether I actually tackle that issue, see, like I can sort of just get my end of my finger underneath there, whereas that I can actually get my whole knuckle one underneath there. So I don't know. It's one of those things like, yeah, it could have been like that. It could be nice to have it fitting a little bit better than that. So I could heat it and try and re-arc this, but it's going to tighten up these side gaps, and that's meant to push out. So we don't want it too tight, otherwise it'll, otherwise the seal will be all bunched up and bent up, which won't look nice either. So I don't know. Just don't want to screw it up too much. There's a pretty even gap down here, so it's only going to get tighter. It's the biggest problem. Anyway, how will we think about it? Right, how you going, guys? So I've been trying to work out why this windscreen was sitting higher on one side than the other. So I measured the frame corner to corner, all the different measurements. It's square, so I didn't screw anything up. I've checked the body from corner to corner, all those sorts of things. I checked measurements from the floor. I even checked this curve to see if it was the same with the shape gauge. It's like, man, what's wrong with this thing? And it wasn't. I had a look at the posts, and I was like, you can see where it's been machined in here. and like you couldn't tell from this side, but it was like, I looked at the other side where the casting is, and as you can see here, I'll turn the phone around, it might be easier. You can see here, one's drilled near the top of the casting. Obviously, like it's hard to tell because the castings would be two different castings, but the hole's near the top on this one and closer to the bottom on this one. So it's, you know, it's the discrepancy of the distance between that and that where it was machined, probably in a jig, and it's different. Like it's enough. Like it's not a lot, but it's enough to kick that frame up and make it look really. I think it's a couple of. It's about an eighth of an inch different. That hole, I think, give or take. It mightn't be quite that much, but it's about that. It's it's about 4 mil, I think it is. Whatever that works out to be in inches. 4 mil. Yeah, it might be an eighth of an inch type sort of thing, or somewhere between an eighth and a 16th of an inch different in height. So by the time it comes into here, and then possibly, because these little brass hinges, like whether they're exactly the same or not when they're being cast, you wouldn't know either. So between probably that and that, it changes the height. So that's just what it is, factory. So yeah, like we probably could improve the situation, because yeah, like I measured it from corner to corner, all that sort of thing, and I bet you broke one of the little, because I've got brass screws in here, and I went to just to check them, make sure they were tight, to make sure the hinges weren't loose, and you know, this one here broke off, it just snapped off. It was some of the ones that were actually used in it. So I've drilled it out, I've just got to get it out. I think I've got easy outs at home, I don't think I've got anything here. So yeah, because I only had a couple of the short screws. They're probably, I don't know whether they're meant to be brass or bronze or whatever these are anyway, but that's what I had, that were the right length. I've got longer ones, but they're too long. So it was just that I had 2 in here, and I went to maybe give it an extra tweak up just in case it was movement or whatever. Yeah, just to help, break it off. But yeah, that's what the problem is. So here I'm thinking that I've screwed something up when the frame wasn't square for a start off, or the body wasn't square. No, it's those posts, obviously, because of 2 different castings, and we're probably drilled on 2 different machines. One guy's probably doing all the lefts and one guy's probably doing all the rights, and yeah, if they're off, they're off. And like I said, like you wouldn't know whether these were exactly the same either. That's only going to be another 1/8 of an inch up or down from the other one when it's cast and machined. So yeah, it wouldn't take much, or even a 1/16 of an inch. If that's a 1/16 and that's an 1/8, and all of a sudden looks like it's up 3/8 of an inch. So yeah, it makes a huge difference. So that's what it is. Actually, something else I was just looking at too was these bolt holes where this thing bolts on. That's a metal bracket that's screwed into the wood and whatever else. So even if that's off, as I say, like a 1/16 of an inch, because that can be anywhere within that hole. So if they weren't exactly the same height, say from down here, down to the bottom to here, each side, that would make a difference too. So there's a lot of variables in it, just the way they're designed. For that bracket, it's not the same. It should be close, but if it's not exactly the same, and then the windscreen post hole's not drilled exactly the same, and then those little brackets aren't exactly the same, with the difference between like these where they screw on and this pivot point, if it's not in exactly the same place, it only takes all those 3 measurements to be off to gain that much in height. So yeah, I might have to try and see if I can get maybe this bracket to slip down a little bit in here, which is actually one of the first things I did on this vehicle actually. was getting that fitting. I think was one of the first things I did, was to get this to fit in here, so I could get in, because I had to shave all this away to get it to fit in. So yeah, I might have to, because it's not screwed in there either, so I can jiggle and adjust, because the hole through here doesn't line up 100% either, so we can play with that a little bit. So yeah, that's quite a possibility, just a little bit, just to get that post to slip down a little. We can possibly knock that one up a little and bring it right, as long as we can still get it in there. So yeah, we might be able to just jiggle it enough up and down to get it ready, to get it close so it's not noticeable. So yeah, oh well, at least I've found a reason for it, and it's not the windscreen frame. So yeah, it might be just a matter of jiggling a few things to get, and it's mainly, I can't change that without obviously re-drilling, like filling and re-drilling these holes. So the easiest alternative is to try and get this one to come down, and this one to move up a little bit, so I could take a little bit out of this hole, just oval it a little bit up and try and bring that up as long as, that's the biggest problem, is like getting the rest of all this other stuff to, but even if I actually leave this one down, I'll leave this one where it is and then just try and get this one down into the bottom of that hole. That'll make a difference. So yeah, if I can get that to come down that much, and then we might be able to get this windscreen fitting a bit nicer, because that'll make a difference. If we can get that to sit down in the bottom of that hole, that's what's, it's probably close to an eighth anyway. That'll close that gap up a lot by the time it goes through that. So yeah, that's the next trick to getting things through. It's funny, like you just, one little thing can be out and it creates a whole lot more work. You know, and the people wonder why things take a long time to get fitted on an old car like this with a lot of restoration. It's because you come and you think, oh yeah, I'll have a look at that windscreen, get it cleaned up, and then next thing you're a whole week later, you know, and you're trying to get it to fit in the car properly, you know. So something else to tackle is to get this bracket to come down and see if we can get that windscreen gap a bit better. Yeah, because this, whatever one is on this side, it's actually, yeah, that little bit higher for a start off, so it doesn't help the situation. So we'll get it better. We'll see if we can get that down a little bit, but that might be tomorrow. Morning everyone, so welcome back again. So I managed to grab a bit of 20mm plate, just an off cut, so I can make the tops for the front of the convertible top to go over this. So they look to be about 20mm thick. I'm just guessing from the photos and how much the ball's sticking up, so I thought 20mm looked about right, and it was easy enough to get, just a piece of scrap. I've got some steel or some round rod bar, what do you want to call it, to make, so I can make the ends of these pieces, and obviously any other inserts that need to be in there to attach to bits. And when I make these tapered rods, needs to have something in the end of them so I can obviously we'll have to heat it up and flatten it down and bits and pieces like that and shape it to accept where some of the hinge points are. So I've got a decent length of that I can chop up to use for that. If I need more I can go get it. Meantime, I need that right now. Hopefully the tube to make these tapered tubes and stuff out of will be here shortly. Now, if anybody can tell me, all these early American dads, I was talking to Dad, trying to find a tap, and thought maybe he might add some little machine type screws like this with the taper head. I thought he might have had something in his arsenal, but he said they're really awkward to get. He said they're a funny thread that's not common here, and it was used a lot in the early American stuff, like in dashes and bits and pieces like that. So I need to find out what that thread is so we can order some bolts. I can't remember, he sort of said that they like a certain thread, but yeah, even he's not really sure, because what he used to do is, because they had so many old wrecks and stuff that they used for parts, he said they would just strip out what they could out of the other vehicles and just made stuff work, if you know what I mean. So yeah, there's a place in town, E. Hayes, which has the world's fastest Indian in it, that have a lot of this sort of stuff, but he said you might struggle there too. They have a lot of that oddball sort of stuff. So I'll try there and see if I can get some, because I need some slightly shorter ones to fit in this windscreen frame. And I also wanted a tap so I can clean out the threads, just make sure they were right, because I got that one because I had a short one of these, and it's a little bit short, when I went to nip it up yesterday, it just broke off. Obviously, it's 100 years old or whatever it is. It's probably been tightened up one too many times, and then me just giving another tweak to try and make sure that everything was tight, and it just snapped off. So I've got to try and get that out. So I drilled it out yesterday, but I didn't have any easy outs here, so I grabbed some easy outs. Because it's brass too, you've got to be very careful that when you wind the easy out in, it doesn't expand the brass or bronze or whatever these things are and lock itself in there, and then you end up breaking the easy out in there as well, because it's not steel. So yeah, that's sort of why I wanted the tap, because I was just going to wind the tap in there and try and clean it out, if you know what I mean. And just cut the rest of the bronze out with a tap, but yeah, Dad doesn't have a tap either. So he said that's one thing he used to struggle with doing the restorations on all those old American trucks, like it's, the 20s and 30s and stuff like that. Yeah, they used a lot of these little screws, machine type screws things, and he said they were awkward little buggers to get. So we might have to find out exactly what thread they are. I'll ask a couple of people. I'll ask Dave in Australia and a couple other people, just see if I can find out what they're meant to be, and see if we can maybe get a mixture of different lengths and sizes and bits and pieces and get them to send us a few, just so we've got them, because I think some of the ones that are actually in here too are the same sort of thing, and like in here, there's lots of little screw points, and I haven't got a lot of them all, because a lot of the ones I tried to take out of there broke off, and I think they're all that sort of same sort of thread. Pretty sure they are. Let's check. Hold on. Because I need a few of them. Yeah, they're all that same sort of thread. So yeah, I need quite a few of these of different lengths, and yeah, because I haven't got many. I've got a few, but not many. It makes it awkward. So you're going to have to try and find some from there, because I'm pretty sure these are the ones out of. I think these are some of the ones that were out of here that screwed into that dash fascia. They had the dash, and then this went over top. I'm pretty sure these are some of the ones out of here, and they fit this windscreen frame as well, and a few other bases. So I need a few. So yeah, I'll try E. Hayes in town, because like I said, they have a lot of stuff that's just not common. But anyway, I'll try and see if I can get this rest of this other one out here first. So I might as well just do that now, see if we can get it out without breaking anything. So I'll use a little shifter because it's then I can't put too much force on it. You know what I mean? It's not really big enough. Well, so hopefully I can get this out. It's quite big enough. Oh, there's the end of it. So yeah, I'll do some inquiry shortly as I can find out what thread they're meant to be. Hopefully we can get some. I'm just going to want to tap in there and clean it out. I think it's going to do what Dad said. The brass is so soft and bronze is so soft, it just expands and chews out. Am I going to come? Yes, it did come. So it wasn't really tight down in there or anything like that, just when I went and gave it an extra tweak and it just broke off. I got some of it out. So yeah, I really need to, I need to tap anyway to clean the rest of it out. Get right down in the bottom. So yeah, stupid little thread. Get that off the rotor. Let's see if I can push that out. I don't know if I will. It's these silly little jobs that eat a lot of time up, eh? And lose hours just fixing funny little things like this. Get out of there. Grab it again or not? It's too deep in. So yeah, we need to find a tap too to sort these out. So anyway, I might make a couple of inquiries over in Australia and just see if he knows what thread they are, and then if not, I'll go on the Studebaker page. Righty guys, so what I need to do to get this bracket down lower is what I originally done this, I think this was one of the first jobs I did, I think. If it wasn't the first job, it was one of the first I did on this car, because they weren't in there. Now I took quite a bit of material out of this and shaped all this because there was no, it hadn't been cut back or anything to fit. So obviously I need to take a bit more off the top here to try and get these down lower so I can get this windscreen post down a little bit lower. But I'm also going to be careful I don't misalign some of these holes in here. That this also connects into. So because of this, the bolts go right through and help obviously clamp bits and pieces. There's like dash stuff hooks onto it and all those sorts of things. So I've got to get this right, but I need to get it a bit lower if I can. Just see if we can get this windscreen frame at least close the gap up, so when we put the rubbers around it, it looks half decent, if you know what I mean, and it doesn't look all queer. Anyway, alright. Righty, so I have lowered this post as much as, well, I wouldn't say as much as I can, but I've lowered it a little bit, taken a shave off that top of that wood and try to get it to slip down. It's better. I don't think this profile on here is exactly the same as the other side. It's not far away, but I think it might be just very slightly more arched, which is probably not helping. But I've lifted this post very slightly. Basically, I just took a skim out of the top of the steel holes on the actual body and just wiggled this one up a little bit, just to try and gain a little bit on the side too, to open it up. So yeah, but I don't know, I'll run the profile tool on here just to see, but I might just have to see if I can heat that side and just flatten that one a little bit, and I think that'll help. It's square now from corner to corner to corner to corner, but if I just flatten that a little bit, that'll help the situation, I think. But yeah, this was definitely higher, that one was definitely lower, so I've tried to balance that out without going stupid and making things weird. So yeah, I think if I might just trumpet a little bit, put some heat in here, and just if I can get this to pull back or something, and just try and help this situation. I might have, when I put this in, I might have just had it kicked up a little bit, which is possible, but yeah, it might just need to come down a little bit in here. So if we get that hot, and just try and pull it back without obviously distorting it, that might help. Just so we look here, see if I can sit this somewhere so you can see. It's probably if I had the bonnet on there, it wouldn't be so bad, but I don't. If I can sit there on the motor, it's going to stay there. And it's going to sit or not? Not really, is it? You can kind of see there. Let's have a look here. So, profile gauge. So I can push that down there, so it's on that back edge. It's close there, you can see that. Sit that there. That's about right there. We'll turn that round, we'll sit that on the other side and we'll just have a wee look. Just sit that on there. Yeah, we've got a wee bit more, obviously a wee bit more shape. So if we just try and pull that side down to match this, that is going to help a little bit too. So it is square from there to there to there to there, but obviously just that shape's just a little bit different. It makes it look a little odd. That's not helping the situation. So we might do that. I've improved it with lifting the post, pushing that post down and lifting this one up. But yeah, we might just need to heat that and just see if we can get it to pull back a little bit. I might have to screw my jig bottom piece on there, or just even put I'll work it out anyway. But yeah, we just need to try and soften that radius a little bit. So I think, yeah, between those couple of alterations will improve the situation. At least I've got it better, so yeah. We will do that shortly. Yeah, great. I think we'll go up and steel here, because I can only get so far in, and it doesn't matter what size drill bit. I even just tried a little bit by just with the drill, just tried drilling in the centre of that, and it won't even budge it. I've blunt about 4 drills, different, just different various small sizes just to see if it'll cut through there and it won't go any further. I even tried a a 10mm or 3/8 drill bit, and then it opened out that first piece, but it just wouldn't go any deeper than, I don't know, whatever it is, it's a 1/4 of an inch or an 1/8 inch in type thing, and it just won't go any further. So I'd say that's like hardened steel plate that's been like an offcut, but they've used some sort of big cutter to cut something out for maybe I don't know, chassis or something like that, where it's been high strength for a truck or a trailer or some frickin' machinery. Damn it. Yeah, because I can't even drill it. I haven't tried the other spot, but I might try that, but I think I'll end up with the same result. It sort of goes so far and then it just won't go any further, which is a real pain in the ass. So yeah, I can't get it to go any further than that. Tried all sorts of size drill bits, and they just tears all the corners off them. Doesn't matter if it's going fast or slow. So yeah, we're a little bit in there, but bugger all. I'll try here, but I don't think I'm going to have much luck. So I thought I'd just start off with like a 4 or 5mm drill bit, and then slowly open it up. But it doesn't even want to go through there. It should go through there like butter, really. Like I can remember back in the day when I was making, used to make these clamps for holding anode blocks, whatever they call them, for an aluminium smelter in the pot lines. Used to make these new clamps, and we were drilling holes like that, and I think they were laser cut in the centre, just like maybe a 20mm hole where punching holes, drill bits like that, and you just sit there and it just wind its way through, in a couple of minutes type sort of thing, and then you hand it to the next guy and he would do the next big hole, and you just be sitting there on a big massive pillar drill, you're just boring holes through. I did that for about 6 months, way back in the early 90s. So yeah, like a drill like that should drill through that reasonably easy, but it doesn't want to. I'll try with the other spot where I'm going to drill a hole and just see if it does anything else. I'll find some other drill bits and have a play. But yeah, I've got a sneaky suspicion that's hardened steel. Well, as if my hardened piece of steel wasn't bad enough, when I heated this and tried to pull it back, I put a clamp on here and a clamp on here, about there, and to try and pull it back as I heated it, and freaking broke it where I cut it up. So I'll have to cut that and rejoin it. Hopefully it doesn't break next time. I think that's better though. It's better than it was. It's still got a bit of a gap on that side, but I don't really fancy pulling it anymore. I think by the time you got the rubber in there, and hopefully we might be able to jiggle it a little bit more when we go to put it together. Hopefully you won't notice too much, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I might go see if I can find another piece of mild 20mm plate instead of, I didn't actually realise, but it's got quite a ring to it, whereas it's quite a ring, so it's obviously hard, whereas normal steel, if it's not hardened, it's got more of a thunk than a ring. So yeah, when you normally get that ring, it's hardened. So I didn't even think about that when we picked it up, but pain in the butt. But anyway, because I tried to blow a hole through it with the plasma cutter, but it didn't go very far either. But anyway, I just thought I'd see if I could get one through it. But yeah, I'll see if I can go find some more mild steel. But I also have got our steel tube now for starting to make the hood top bows and bits and pieces and uprights and whatever. So yeah, I think by the time we sort of get a few of these pieces come together over the next couple of days, it'll look like we've done a bit. It's funny, like you sort of end up pulling stuff apart and then it doesn't look like you're actually doing much. But anyway, yeah, I'll go see if I can find some more mild steel and then fix that. I might pull it a little bit more when I weld it, just to see if I can get it to pull back a little bit more, and then yeah, and hopefully I can get those top bits made and get into these tubes and sort out some timber, or get some timber cleaned up so we can start making these hoops. So yeah, we've got the bar for that, so we can, when we close this up to about 3/4 round or whatever it is, we've got some bar to put in the end of that and weld in there, and then make our ends and bits and pieces. So we're getting there. So hopefully it'll be interesting to see what I've got to do to try and get that to close up. Hopefully I can do it nicely, because it's going to be fun. But we'll cut it down to close lengths, and then we'll try and squeeze it in. You know, I'll make it a little bit long sort of type thing, so at least if we can squeeze it in, and it's not, because it'll end up being funny shaped, and then at least when we join it, we can cut it nice and square. Well, hopefully. Righty, and we'll catch you later on.